Wednesday, everybody, and are you ready for the end of 2022? Because I know I am. And you know, one of the reasons that I am really anxious for the end of 2022 is because 2022 has been a crazy year for all of us, much like 2021 was. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about the craziness, and I think you might be a little bit surprised by what I have to say, because I am not going to give you the opinion that you might be thinking that I am. Now, I have heard and seen many conversations about all the different variants that have been in the news, whether it was the original COVID, or Delta, or Omnicron, or whatever it is. And people believe it, they don't believe it, they are afraid of it, they don't care about it, they have to get vaccinated, they're not going to get vaccinated, they don't know if they should be afraid, they don't know if they should get vaccinated, they're angry, they're anxious, they're depressed. Did you know that the instances of doctors prescribing antidepressants has absolutely, and anti-anxiety medication, it has skyrocketed in the last 2 years. Absolutely skyrocketed. This has created job disruptions, job loss. The supply chain has been interrupted. This has had an effect on our world like nothing that we have ever seen before. And how long is it going to last? Not a scientist, not a politician, not even going to go there. Here's what I know, and I know this for sure. Whatever it is, and we can't change it. We can't fix it. We can only do what is best for us, for me, for my family, for my husband, with only two of us living in this house, Dell and I have had, as I'm sure every household on the planet has, many conversations about COVID and what it is, what it isn't, what we should be afraid of, what we shouldn't be afraid of, what we should be thinking, what we should be doing, should we be preparing for I don't know what. So we're going to talk about that, but before we do that, we are going to make a leftover turkey omelet, and it is going to be delicious. Turkey is not just for supper, it's not just for lunch. Now, I'm thinking that maybe I should move this back just a wee bit so that I'm not doing this to you. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, just a minute. Focus. There we go. It is amazing the number of times that I've had people say to me, "Focus, Sharon, focus." Now it's my turn. I get to say it to the camera. Okay, so here we are. Here is our counter today. Now, the one thing that I forgot to grab that we just cannot do without is the bacon fat, because we are not making an omelet without bacon fat. That's as easy as that is. So we will grab that, and we will grab a fork, and we will get ready to make a turkey omelet. How about that? Okay, so I hope you have a great big hot cup of coffee with you. I have my sugar-free gingerbread spice syrup in it again. I had somebody say to me a while ago, you know that sugar-free syrup has got sucralose in it. And I said, I am aware. And they said, well, sucralose is an artificial sweetener. And I said, I am aware. And they said, yeah, but artificial sweeteners aren't good for you. Yep, also aware. I have a research brain. I know these things. Well, if you are promoting health, then Sharon, why are you telling people that they should be drinking this stuff if it isn't good for you? And there is an answer for that. And the answer for that is, I do not drink gallons and gallons of it, but here's what I know for sure. This sugar-free syrup is a whole lot better than me drinking bottles and bottles and bottles of pop and juice and being 350 pounds, which is where I used to be. So, is it good for you? It is not the best choice in the world. What is the best choice in the world? Black coffee. Am I going to drink black coffee? Not if I have a choice. So there you go. That's what that is. So, I do have my guilty pleasures, and I have always told you guys that this is one of my guilty pleasures. And I have very few, but I do have that one. So, now, let's start on our omelet. And the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to heat up our pan, and we're going to add some bacon fat in there. Now, the other thing that we're going to do, because I have a little bit left in the fridge that needs to be used up, I have a few bacon bits, and I think those bacon bits need to be added into our turkey omelet. Okay, there's not very much. There's, I don't know, a teaspoon, but it's going to be enough to add a little bit of flavor. And when you combine that with the bacon fat that we're putting in this pan right now, it is going to be marvelous. Now, what are you doing at your house today? I am off on a mission after this. Hey, AK, I am glad you could join me again. And I hope the kidlets are there with you, because I love it when all of you guys show up. Okay, now we've got this pan on 4. Let's put it on 4. And what we are going to do first is saute 15 grams of celery and 15 grams of yellow onion. So a little bit of carbs in there, but not much. And we are just going to let those, there it is, we are just going to let those saute for a little bit in that bacon fat, which is going to be absolutely marvelous. And while we're doing that, I'm going to, you guys use fresh garlic? Now, I selfishly would much prefer that everybody uses TSL Organics minced garlic or garlic powder or granulated garlic, but sometimes, actually all the time, you know, I talk about TSL Organics a lot, but the reality is, if you can use fresh food, that is always the best choice. It has the most nutrients, it has the most flavor, it has the most. So we are going to just put a wee bit, and this is fresh garlic. This is not going to take very much to add a heck of a punch. So unless you really, really, really like garlicky eggs, then you just want to use a wee bit. And you notice that I let the onions and the celery saute a bit first, because we don't want the garlic to get bitter. So you always want to do the garlic towards the end. Now, those are starting to turn translucent, and that's what we want. So I want to start this talk with you about Omnicron. And yes, I am aware that I called it Omnicron. I think the name is actually really entertaining, because it reminds me of Transformers, which really is what it's all about. Because, whoops, there we go. Viruses transform. That's what they do. They mutate. It's a normal part of being a virus. And viruses are different than bacteria. Now I'm going to take this, now that it is sauteed a little bit, and I'm going to put it in a bowl. And we will get back to that later. Now, viruses are interesting little creatures. They move into your, well, they're not actually creatures. Did you know that bacteria is alive? Virus is not alive. Virus is like a factory owner. And factory owners find a piece of real estate that they think is going to be good for what they're doing. and they move in. And then if something happens that for some reason what they're doing in that factory, like making a variant, making COVID the way it was in the beginning, it stops being as effective, then the virus changes. It mutates. And it starts making a new product like a factory would. So cleaning today, well, when you're done, you can come and clean my house. That'd be fine. You don't know what kind of thing I just said you should do, but okay, so we know from listening to the news that there have been several viruses, or several variants of this virus, which just means in the factory that virus was working in, which was a human cell, it went, this really isn't working for me very much. We need to change it up and make a different color or make it whatever. So they start making something new, and some scientist somewhere recognizes that it's new and it's changed, and whatever has happened, and that's what we call a variant. So they're all COVID, but it's like having exactly the same sweater on a rack in the store, but in 7 different colors. It's kind of like that. Okay, so because of this, and this is not news, you guys all know this, we have been told that we should stay home if we have the sniffles. And realistically, if you've got a cold, I don't want to catch it. But have people always stayed home with a cold? No. Should they have? Well, I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to get into that discussion with people, because as many different people as there are almost that many opinions about this. Okay, now let's check and see before we get further into this discussion. Let's check and see how much turkey we have here. We're just going to set this down here for the moment. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if you weigh everything, every ingredient that you put in, you're going to know exactly how many carbs, how much fat, how much protein. So did I include the skin on this turkey? Absolutely I did. Never going to apologize for that. So we've got 45 grams of turkey. So that's good. And we're going to, with that, put that away. With that 45 grams of turkey, we're going to use our onion and our celery, and this is going to be delicious. Okay, so back to our discussion. We have been hearing right since the beginning of this, everybody needs to get vaccinated. Everybody. And just recently they started vaccinating children. Now, I don't know where you stand on the whole vaccination issue, and I'm not going to tell you where I stand. And I'm not going to tell you, and it honestly doesn't matter to me where you stand on the whole vaccination issue, because I believe that everyone has a right to their opinion. Everyone has to make the very best choices that they can make for their family, for their children, for themselves. Spouses have to have a discussion, and maybe there's going to be, before I got an allergy to turkey, I loved the skin. You have an allergy to turkey. Now that makes me sad. Oh, that makes me so sad. I am so sorry that you have an allergy to turkey. So, make this very same omelet, only substitute chicken or ham or steak, or you can put any meat in here. It will be delicious one way or the other. So, here's what I will tell you about my opinion as far as the vaccine goes. It is my hope for everyone that when you make a decision, you take a page out of my book and you do your research. Now, wherever your research leads you, that's fine. You have a right to make that decision. And I will always respect people's decisions. What scares me is that people are making decisions out of fear, out of anger, out of disbelief, out of whatever. And when I hear people saying, if you get this vaccine, I won't ever be able to be in the same room with you again, that makes me sad. When I hear people saying, if you don't get the vaccine, you can't come home for Christmas. That makes me sad. When I hear it's all Aaliyah's fault, it's a really rare allergy from pregnancy. Really? Well, now that is not something that I've heard, so it's awesome that this young lady, Aaliyah, is as spectacular as she is, because it makes up for the turkey allergy in her mom, I suppose. So what I will say to you, regardless of who you are or how old you are, whether you are 7 years old or 107 years old, do your research, ask questions. Do not make decisions out of fear or anger. I'm not going to do this because the government tells me I have to. Okay, well, the government also tells you that you should eat 3 meals a day. Do you do that? Or are you going to go on a hunger strike because they told you you should eat? It really is the same thing. Just because someone, now whether they're right or wrong about the vaccine, we're not going to get into that. Whether they're right or wrong about eating 3 meals a day, we will most definitely get into that, because they are 100% wrong, but that's another live. Do your research and make the best health decision that you can make for yourself, for your family, out of the research that you've done. The fact that somebody said I have to, that is not a good enough reason for me to do it. The reason that somebody told me that I can't or I shouldn't, not a good enough reason for me to not do it. I make my decisions based on clinical research that is done by people that I trust. So, am I just blindly following what the government says and what the pharmaceutical companies say? No, I'm not. But I make my decisions based on good information. In my opinion, it's good information. The information that you find might be different. And so, well, I am very glad to hear that. Now, the one thing that I will say, and it does not matter, it doesn't matter where you kind of are on the research spectrum, everyone agrees that people that have serious underlying conditions are definitely more at risk from severe outcomes than people who don't. Now, does that mean that they should be vaccinated? It's a personal decision again. And I won't say, but you do need to look at the facts. You do need to look at the numbers. You do need to look at your own health. And you need to, maybe the decision that you make is going to be different than the decision that your sister makes. Maybe the decision that you make is going to be different than the decision that your wife makes. And maybe you have different reasons for making it. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's necessity in order to keep your job. Maybe. There are 47 million maybes. So go through them and make the best decision that you can for you. And respect the decisions that other people make. And reach out and show them some love and show them some compassion, and make it clear that you understand that they have a right to a decision that's different than yours. You know, something that I have said for a very long time, because I've had complete strangers say to me, "Are you vaccinated?" And my answer to that is, if you ask every single person that I know what the result was of my last pap test, not one of them is going to know. Because I don't discuss my medical anything with anybody. I just don't. I'm a very private person, and my husband is the same way. He's also very private. We just don't talk about it, except with each other. We're always very open with each other, and we make decisions together. So that is as much as you will ever know about where we stand on it, because we very firmly stand right there. If you got it, good for you. That's awesome. If you didn't get it, good for you. If you got it or didn't get it for the wrong reasons, out of fear or anger, I'm really sorry for that. Please do your research. Okay, now, that is as much as we're going to say about that. Well, probably, unless I go on another tangent. Now, let's get this pan heating up again because we have an omelet to make, and I've been blithering on and on here for a little while, so we need to get cracking. Haha. You notice what I did there? Get cracking. We're making an omelet. I know I am hilarious. I have said for many, many years, I think I am much funnier than my husband thinks I am a lot of the time. But I respect his right to be wrong, and I also have said that for many, many years. Okay, so we are going to add 2 eggs to this bowl. Ugh, not the eggshells. Now, something that I have people say to me all the time is I can't do keto because it is way too expensive. Hogwash. And I just pulled my towel rack down again. Okay, there we go. Keto does not have to be expensive. It can be. If you want to eat nothing but, porterhouse steaks and caviar, then good on you if you can afford it. I can't, but, whatever works for you. Okay, so the other thing that I forgot to grab is my whisk. Now, we're going to whisk these up, and we are going to add 30 grams, 1 ounce, 2 tablespoons of cream. And you can see our frying pan is starting to smoke. That is awesome. We don't want it to smoke too much, but we want it to smoke a little bit. So we're going to get that mixed up. To this, we are going to add pepper. Now, I am adding a lot of pepper because I like a lot of pepper. Do you need to add a lot of pepper? That's entirely up to you. Do you need to add any pepper? Not so much. A little bit of salt. And then let's get this into this pan that is getting to be smoking hot. Now, you'll notice I did not add any of the other ingredients back to the pan before I did this because we are going to make this a delicious, delicious omelet. Now, you can take the chopped up turkey unless you're allergic to turkey. So then please don't. But you can take the chopped up whatever kind of meat, and you can do that in bacon fat before you do the omelet and make it nice and crispy and yummy. Okay, now we've got that sprinkled in there. We are just going to let this cook, and we're going to turn the heat down to about 3. Did you guys notice? Hi, Del. I'm glad you showed up. I was just discussing, probably before you got here, how private we are and the fact that nobody really knows anything about our health, including our vaccination status or lack thereof. It's a secret. So he knows, but nobody else does. Okay, so we have our turkey in there. We are going to add our little bit of veggies in there. So this is a wee bit of garlic. Now, if Del was home and I was making one for him, I promise you there would not be a wee bit of garlic in here, and he would be very, very grateful for that. He's not a fan. I don't understand that, but I respect his right to like or not like whatever he wants. And I have said forever, he is, without exception, the pickiest man that I have ever met. Ever, ever, ever. But you know what? He picked me. And that being said, I'm going to share with you that on Friday, there will not be a live, and there won't be because on Friday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, Del and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. That is right. We have been together 25 years. Well, we've been together 30 years, but we've been married for 25 years. So that's what we're doing. And you're not invited. So I'm not doing a live. Okay, now you'll see that I am adding some cheese here. Now I'm going to chop this up a little bit, and I want to show you. Oh, we almost forgot our bacon. Good grief. There we go. A little bit of bacon. Not much, but enough for a bit of a bite. Now this cream is called Imperial. It's one of those things where I think you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It's a very strong, very old cheese, and I absolutely love it. It's very creamy when it's melted. It is not a processed cheese, but it is a soft cheese. And I buy mine at Costco because that is the cheapest place that I've found to buy it when they have it. They don't always, but okay, so there we go. And it is almost 10:30. We're almost at our half-hour mark, and we're almost done, even though I went on and on and on. Now, if you or someone you know is dealing with depression or anxiety, please, if it's you, reach out. If it's someone you know, please reach out to them. You know, this is, okay, here we go. Oh, there we are. There is our omelet. Okay, I broke it. I admit it. But you know what? It's going to taste the same regardless. So the one thing that I really hope that we can all agree on is that loving your family, loving your neighbor is far more important. Reaching out, dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, being there for each other. Thank you, AK. So, and you know, here's the best part about our 25th wedding anniversary. After 25 years, we still love each other. After 25 years, he is still my best friend, my white knight. He is my whole world. And anyone who knows me knows that that's true. Okay, so here we are. Let's get these out of the way. And let's get this on the plate. There we are. There is a super healthy breakfast omelet, and I see a couple of pieces of veggie and bacon left in the pan, so I'm getting those too. Okay, here we are. You want to try it with me? Now I'm going right for the middle. Pardon me, because that is where all the yumminess is. Check that out. You can see the cheese, the bacon, the veggies that are in there, a little bit of salt and pepper, and that cream in the egg makes it nice and creamy. Now the more you beat that egg, the bigger and fluffier your omelet's going to get. The more air you get in there, the bigger and fluffier the omelet's going to get. That is an awesome leftover turkey. I am not going to pretend to understand exactly what that means, Nietzsche night in fried bannock, but I'm going to say that that's probably your favorite. So that's awesome. I love it when I hear that people have relationships like that. And a relationship like that is not about agreeing about everything. Dell and I don't agree about everything. And I tease him when we disagree about something and say, I respect your right to be wrong. That's another one of those times when I think I'm way funnier than he thinks I am. But we love each other. And even when we disagree, it's okay. And have we ever had an argument in 25 years? There have been a few. There's even been a couple that have been doozies. Have we ever been truly cruel to each other, called each other names, been physical with each other? Never. Not one time. It doesn't matter how angry we've been, how disappointed we've been, never one time. A slang term for, oh, okay, well, there you go. There's something else that I didn't know. Nietzsche is a slang term for native. Okay. So, I'm going to give you homework. When I'm working with a keto client, I give them homework at the end of our session. I'm going to give you homework. I want you, all of you, any of you that are watching this, reach out to someone that you know that disagrees with you and tell them that you love them and that you respect their right to their opinion. Now, I hope that when you do that, they will offer you the same in return. But leading by example is the most important thing. And if they don't respect your right to have a different opinion, that's really sad. But just let them know that when they are ready to talk to you, you'll be there for them. It makes me sad that in this world we have so many people that are dealing with depression and anxiety. Did you know that the latest studies show that 1 out of 10 teenagers attempt suicide at some point in their teenage years? 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. What are we doing? So reach out to somebody. Reach out to several somebodies. And have an amazing rest of your week. Do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. And love the people around you. And respect the people who disagree with you. And if you lead by example, maybe, just maybe, we can make this world a little bit of a better place. I will see you on Sunday. I will see you next year. I will see you on Sunday, January 2nd. I have no idea what we're doing because right now I am concentrating more on my anniversary on New Year's Eve. So I will talk to you next year. Do your best to live your best version of this shining life and love each other.